Alright, I don't know which channel this is going to end up, and odds being I'm going to post this somewhere, so for the sake of I am camping. And I'm camping in a unorthodox and somewhat obscure place, because when I want to camp and I want to be alone, well, I just said it, you know, I'm wanting to be away from people. So, yeah, I'm not at a normal campground. That all being said, this is a venting video of why is the world dying. Now, this is a theory. I don't know how to explain it, so I'm just going to do it the best that I can. The world, you know how also I'm currently doing something, so I apologize if I'm not actually in frame. So take it for how it is. When you watch a vlog, do you really have to actually sit down and watch the guy? Or can you just listen? Most people have it on their, have YouTube on their devices, you know, mobile devices these days. So, anyways though, this is a cosmic theory, you can say, of how, you know, as the song grows, the day the music died. Well, I believe the music already died. That the world, you know, there's all these theories and conspiracy theories of when is the world supposed to end? When does the world die, basically? And I'm going, and my thoughts are it already has, and that it's like cancer. Or age, basically. You know, we have the age or the era of music, and yes, we have different eras. We have the 8 or decades of music, you know, increments of time. But in the world of music, there's when music started. You know, you have radio, you have all these different things, and then it gets to a point of death and stagnant, to the point it needs rebirth. Now, I don't know if our world is ever going to have a rebirth. All I know is that I feel that the world has come to an end already in multiple ways, and to collaborate and compilate all of the dates and all the conspiracy theories and normal theories, or just end of the world Armageddon theories out there, to all be one. You have 2012, you have the year 2000 / 1999, you know, the turn of the 21st century, basically. That, you know, even in the Matrix, they're like, oh, this is the year 1999, you know, this is the last year of humanity. And, you know, a lot of people can reflect and say that the early 2000s was a time when the 90s didn't want to die, and that they were pushing it to continue, and we had everything was extreme for like the first 3 years. Now, I believe that, again, to continue on with what I was saying before my camera wants to go out on me like it has been a lot lately, limited space on a phone, you know, you get what you pay for. So, when did Hollywood stop making good movies? Ask yourself that. When did every genre of music stop making collectively good songs? You know, when did artists go down, or just, again, the genre just kind of go down the, you know? Again, I tried doing a first take of this, and I mentioned that, you know, you have... Oh, I just lost my train of thought. There's... Yeah, I'll reclaim it until then. I'll just keep going. Oh yeah, radio. You know, you have the day the music died, you have... Radio used to be a way that we could discover new music, and now all we listen to is Spotify and Pandora, where these computers and algorithms take the music you already like and they just find similar stuff to it. It's not the same as having a DJ, and everything like that, where you get what is going on in the world and it gets put on the radio so that it can be shared. And I feel like that's where we are, is everything's all about. And this is where Hollywood comes in, because I want to touch on every aspect of the world. You have religion, you have good people, you have what would Jesus do unto others, whatever. When did religion die? When did music die? When did Hollywood die? When did we stop caring about the simple idea of making a good movie or making a good sequel in general? Making a good franchise. When did it become so soulless? When did music lose its soul? When did, a city lose its soul? When did Hollywood lose its soul? When did movies stop being good? All I hear nowadays about all of my favorite franchises, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's Terminator, whether it's Marvel, is starting to get involved in this, and I don't like it because, A, I am a big nerd, and B, it's essentially just a cancer. It's an infection where YouTube, and I think it started with YouTube, but it started with, and when did humanity die? Because ultimately you have society, the ability to socialize and connect with other people in real life. And now all we do is we connect on social media. Do you have a Facebook? Do you have a Twitter account? Do you have an Instagram? People cannot be real anymore. They all have to be just introverted and not know how to act at all, or how to socialize and how to interact with people in real life. They can only interact via social media. And it's very depressing, because social media is supposed to help bring us closer, and yet it seems that it's done nothing but bring us further apart. Again, I mentioned in the, like I said, the first take of this, Terminator, Dark Fate, and then I'm finding out that 007 James Bond. Here's something I want to touch on. If it's a pre-established material, there's only so much you can do. But if it's pre-established from another media, like movie based off of a book, unless you have the author itself directing and writing, just like how Clive Barker directed and wrote Hellraiser based off of pre-existing material that he already did with The Hellbound Heart, which I've not read the book, but I love the Hellraiser movies. If it's based off a book, here's my thoughts. If you're going to make a movie, it doesn't matter what money you bring in. Ultimately, you start a project, finish the project. Make it to where you adapt it the way that you have a director, you have a vision, you have a writer, or whatever. Make it to where it happens, a beginning to end. So if you start the first book, or if you go like Divergence, I thought the Divergence series was actually okay. It wasn't too bad. And I guess since I didn't know it was based off of a book, I didn't know that they basically just said, well, the last movie didn't get good reception, which I get it. It's all about money. If you don't make a profit, if you don't make enough to even cut even, let alone make a profit to go towards the funding of another movie, which again, it's Hollywood. These are big corporations like Warner Brothers and such who are ultimately fronting the money to make this movie. And yes, they are corporations, so they want their money. They want their profits. But again, there are fan bases for these materials, for the movies separate from the source material like the books. That being said, I would have loved to see, the Divergent... Crap, an ant just went into my headset. That'll be fun. Hopefully it figures out how to get out. I'm sure it will, it's not... follow the trail that it came, right? Plus, it's a speaker, you know, it's a headset, so obviously there's no other end. But yeah, so that's what I think. I think that honestly, you start something, you should finish it. I would have honestly loved to see the remake of both Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street get their own remake franchise, because I actually thought they were, minus how Freddy died, which, being that Freddy vs. Jason came out literally only a few years prior, and some people, they watch movies back to back, you'll notice that how he died was literally the exact same as, you know, in that movie. You know, they take a machete or a long knife type object, you know, a makeshift machete you can say, and they cut his throat or cut his head off. Essentially, again, they went regardless of if he got decapitated or not. And I thought that was like the weakest part of the ending. And I can watch the whole movie, I just have to forget that that happens, unfortunately. But going back to Dark Fate and Terminator and SJWs, literally, this is your time to shine. This is, you get to murder, and I mean literally just murder everything that we have. We have Twitter, everyone gets to have a voice, your opinion counts, and now it's gotten to a point to where Hollywood and our world only cares about your opinion. And I say it's your time to shine because that's just the point where we're at. No one is fighting back, and very few people are. I saw a thing months ago where Kevin Hart did fight back and saying, I did not say that, or I go against what was said, because, you know, and if I can find that video, I can post it below. But I think that honestly, we should not cater to these people who just want it their way and have essentially the maturity and mentality of a 5-year-old. You don't get what they want, they throw a tantrum, and we've now given them all the tools to throw a tantrum until basically they get over it. And again, that's the whole point on a 5-year-old, is you have to teach them, and if they will get over it in time, and if they don't, this is what happens. They get to dictate, and, you know, the kids get to run the house instead of the parents. So that's what's going on with Hollywood. And, you know, what doesn't help is with some corporations and some franchises like Star Wars, as passionate as I am about, I'm siding with two things. I'm siding with the Scoundrels Cantina, because essentially, as much as I have not read the Legacy comics, or not, is it called Legacy, but basically Legends material, which is the continuity that I go with for the most part, but just like with Scoundrels Cantina, I believe that for the most part, some of the extended, you know, universe lore within Disney's canon could fit within it. Like, in the micro series of Clone Wars, we have Anakin kills, or it looks like, as far as I know, that was the end of Ventress. You know, gets killed and thrown off a cliff by Anakin when he embraces the dark side. How do we know that ultimately that can't still canonically fit with the TV show? Because, and vice versa with Ahsoka not being present in that series, by basically just saying that, oh, well, they are concepts that are, these are the missions and the things that happened inside of the Clone Wars. Maybe she survived the fall, and that's, you know, what happened, and that's how she reappears in the other series, and Ahsoka shows up later. I don't know. Or, you know, there are plenty of episodes where Ahsoka is not with Anakin, and and planetary rotations and stuff like that. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe they are just away from each other for a while, you know? But to bring up Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy, and the fans have said this plenty of times, she has made it to where, oh, the Force is female. I've seen that photo too many times, and the Force is an entity. It doesn't have a gender. You know, the fact that she's basically embracing her own agenda is what depresses me to no end, and to the point to where I'm numb. I'm numb from it. I'm not even depressed anymore about it. I'm not upset. I'm just numb about it. It's really sad. It's all it is. It's saddening, you know. And again, it's other people are following that step of the SJWs, these non-existent minorities, or these minorities that do need to be represented by people who aren't a part of them, which I find is a lot of things, a lot of what happens, or things being forced upon, you know, things that don't need to be, just in general, you know. And it doesn't help when some people ignore the actual source material. Like, I can't remember his name right now, but we all know who he is. He created Nintendo, he created Mario, Link, and everyone. And Rags, I love you. I love your, you know, I honestly find your videos both informative, creative, and honestly funny. Even your older stuff, where you did mainly just, you know, in terms of PC gaming versus, you know, console gaming and stuff like that. But he did a video, again, I'll have to actually go back and look for it, where someone was forcing, and they tried to say it was, oh, this is their opinion. It's like, or this is just for fun. It's like, you're literally making a video saying this is what it is, and you're projecting that thought for other people to have. When the source, the creator of Nintendo, has said Link is male, obviously, because it's the whole rescue the princess, but Link is called Link because he is the avatar, he's the link to that world. You know, that's why he is male, but ultimately has a maybe a more childlike, you know, aesthetic, or essentially what you can call, you know, neutral features. Because when we're kids, we're not developed. We don't have, you know, male versus female, feminine versus masculine, or whatever like that. And that's the problem, is that people are just making their own things up. People are honestly defiling things that either are sacred, or they're defiling things that, you know, are pre-existing. Rather it's movie based on book, and people don't want to continue with what they're doing with the franchise, or, you know, they stray too far away from the source material, like 007, where 007, yes, that is a numerical code name, but they are based off of books. Again, not read the books, but 007 is James Bond. They are based off of a book series about a character named James Bond, 007. You cannot, and again, you could call it a soft reboot, or whatever, where you have someone else taking up the monocle or the code name of 007. But honestly, you have all of this stuff already exists. You have the books that they're based on. You have spoof material. You have, you know, the whole spy genre. You have other non-canon but still based off the books movies. You have the fact that, again, we have, 50 years of 007 or something like that, or that are, again, you know, James Bond. You can't just throw that out the window, and then the moment that, you know, shit hits the fan, you're like, oh yeah, retcon, this doesn't exist. You know, this is not canon. You've already made the movie. You've already made the social media backlash. You've already made all this stuff. People just need to be conscious of what they're doing in Hollywood, and it's to a point to where, like, you know, if a movie looks interesting, then I'll see it. But unfortunately, as much as I want to be the kind of person who can isolate things and say, oh, well, I'll accept movie for what it is, and I still do that. If I ever get around to watching, you know, Captain Marvel, I'll take it for what it is. You know, I'll disregard any of the political backlash that came with Brie Larson. And if it looked like it could have deserved a sequel, then, well, she messed that up. People need to be aware of what they're doing and how it affects the bigger picture, just in general. James Cameron, you got the rights back from whoever had the rights to Terminator after you sold them for whatever reason. Don't really care to go into it, and this is already a 20-minute rant video where I've touched on a bunch of things. Rap is dead. Rock, there's a lot of screamo. Again, country music, everything, pop. I grew up in San Diego, and what was played on Channel 933, which was more or less the pop, R&B, rap, just what was mainstream and everyone was listening to. What is probably being played now versus what is being played when I was even in high school in 2010, completely different and worth listening to. Good songs, good artists, and it's sad to see, those artists are folding, They're like, well, I need to keep up with the times, let me change my style, let me, go with what the kids like and are listening to. No, stick to what you are. What is your style? What made you who you are and made you unique? Or the style that ultimately, even if your time fades, you can still make music and just, have your dedicated fan base. Backstreet Boys, I don't listen to their stuff, but apparently they have a small resurgence, and their music, their classic music from, the 90s and whatnot, is still being played in Las Vegas, where I actually live once I'm done camping, out of town, for reasons. But yeah, it's just it's sad because, people don't know how to act. People don't understand their consequences, their actions. They don't look at the bigger picture. Still a little bit, I don't know what you call it, frustrated. I don't know, something I'll get over because it's really nothing. But I met this girl once, not that long ago, which is pretty much why. It's a recent event. And things turned very fast gear and awkward, being that I met her at a bar and I never go to bars. I don't know how to act at a bar. All these different things, socially awkward and everything, in new places, just. And then all she has to say is, "Oh, I'm so sorry for last night." And I'm like, I wanted to get to know you. I find you attractive. I got your phone number. Do you not understand how bar interaction works? It used to be a place where, people go and get drinks, but it used to be a place where this interaction can happen, where you can go and meet someone. Rather you take them home or not, you can at least meet a new person, I always say truth comes out when you're drunk, You're an angry person, you obviously, and whatever you say, it comes from your subconscious, because all those filters are now down. Nothing is holding you back like you are when you're sober, and, all of that. So, obviously, this person was kind of a whore and a slut, and a self-centered prick, and I don't normally use those words, let alone all in one sentence. I try not to have vulgarity in vulgar language in my vocabulary and in my, speech. But just to be completely honest, she made out with me for 30 minutes after barely meeting me, kept telling me compliments, and I have low self-esteem. I'm not used to compliments. So, yeah, I'm flattered, but I'm overwhelmed. And obviously a lightweight, because someone who knows her as an acquaintance or whatever said, oh, she's not as drunk as she's making herself out to be. So I'm guessing that she was basically drunk. but she had not had that much to drink, which means lightweight. And not only did she pretty much make out with me for 30 minutes, but part of that 30 minutes was